Sleeping soundly when this SUV crashed into a Lee County home.
The wake-up call this family of 5 didn't want.
It sounded like a bunch of wood and stuff that just had exploded.
Tonight at 7, we get you more on how they're doing and who rushed in to help. Plus this.
And they will inspect it and then bring us the keys, I hope.
Water woes. 2 widowed sisters in Lee County waited on help from FEMA. Now it's arrived. We're tracking their story next at 7 and getting you more on how FEMA could help fix your well after Ian. And this.
In tonight's cover story, you'll have to look up
to see what's getting served up for dinner.
From the trees to the table, tonight at 7, we're showing you the latest way to eliminate one of Cape Coral's worst invasives.
It's basically fajita meat wrapped up in a burrito, so it's easier to eat.
Would you dare take a bite?
We get you more on if this pest could make a great addition to your plate when your ABC 7 News at 7 starts in 45 seconds.
ABC 7, this is News at 7.
It sounded like a bunch of wood and stuff that just had exploded.
A driver slams their SUV straight into a Lee County family's living room. 5 people were inside sleeping when it happened, including 2 young children. It's your big story tonight at 7. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Megan Miller.
And I'm Jeff Harris. This crash happened this morning on Fairfax Drive in Tice. Now the family is out of their home and really just lucky to be alive. As you can see the scene behind here, the SUV crashing into the home. It's a scary sight to see. ABC 7's Claire Lavazorio spoke with a woman who saw it all happen, getting us more tonight on who came to the rescue.
This was quite the wake-up call for one family here in Tice. An SUV came barreling through their home in the middle of the night. Now, workers are out here today boarding up the home, just trying to get things cleaned up. And tonight, we are learning that young children were inside the home at the time of the crash. Jessica Velasquez is walking me through the moment she watched a white SUV slam through a home in Tice.
I feel that his foot slipped off the brake, hit the gas, and it went straight into the home.
It was just after midnight when she says she heard what sounded like an explosion right next door.
And I jumped out my car, ran in, and asked for them to come out and help me because I heard kids crying.
Velasquez says she feared the worst as Fairfax Drive flooded with first responders.
I've seen it on the news, I've seen it on TV, but never in person.
5 people, including 2 children, were inside the home at the time of the crash. They were renting and now need a place to stay. Today we met the property's owner, Jamie, who is seeing the damage for the first time. He's busy filing insurance claims after the driver destroyed the home.
We're still recovering from Hurricane Ian, like from our rental properties in general. So this is just like another hit we're taking.
The crash left the house in shambles. Pieces of the family's life are scattered everywhere. Most of what they owned is out on the curb. Now they're working on finding a new place to call home.
All this could be repaired, but a life matters way more.
FHP says a 17-year-old boy was arrested for this crash. He is now facing DUI charges. I'm in Tice. Claire Lavazorio, ABC 7.
Let's get you more tonight on how often drivers crash into buildings. If you had to guess, how often would you say that this happens? Well, it's more often than you might think. A security consultant created a database tallying up every one of those crashes that happens in the U.S. There are at least 100 American drivers crashing cars into buildings each day. That's 36,500 a year. A new audit from insurance experts at Lloyd's of London, they confirm those numbers. Now to some breaking news at 7. The chief of the Naples Fire Department has resigned. City of Naples tells ABC 7 that an accusation was made against Chief Pete DeMaria back in December, and an internal investigation was launched. The fire chief was put on paid administrative leave during that 2-month span. He has been working for the City of Naples Fire Rescue Department since 1989 and was promoted to fire chief in 2016. He resigned from his post last Friday. The city, though, would not comment on what that accusation was. We're still waiting for the full investigation to come out.
This trash is not just an eyesore. It's life-threatening. People living along Bow Lane in Bokeelia say a pile nearly blocked an ambulance from an emergency. Lee County deputies arrested 2 men, Christopher Levi from Cape Coral and Andrew Despain from Bokeelia. Deputies say they dumped 7,900 pounds of junk. Neighbors say they've spent countless hours cleaning up the mess.
I want to say this directly to the judge. Please, please, Your Honor, give them garbage pickup alongside the roads and working at the dump, mulching or organizing garbage. I think that would be a perfect punishment.
Pretty straightforward there. If you see an illegal dump site, officials are asking you to report it to the Lee County non-emergency line.
The governor is going after what he calls woke banking practices that he claims discriminates against people's religious, political, and social beliefs. Now, he announced new legislation this morning in Naples. Take a listen.
This is a distortion of a government of by and for the people. They are not accountable to you. They are not accountable to us. And I think ultimately it does represent a threat, not just to a smooth and prosperous economy, smooth functioning, prosperous economy, but also our very freedom itself.
Governor DeSantis said environmental, social, and governance policies limited banks' oil and gas investments. The governor says this is just a proposal, though, for the time being.
Meanwhile, the College Board is calling out the Florida Department of Education. The board says the decision to ban an AP African American Studies class was politically motivated. The board, which created the AP course, admitted it made mistakes in the rollout of the course, but said they should have immediately denounced the state's claim that the course lacks educational value. Last month, Florida officials objected to some of the authors and topics the board put in the class. State leaders claim it was not due to political pressure.
And they will inspect it and then bring us the keys, I hope.
One setback after another. Two widowed sisters have been waiting more than a month to get inside their FEMA trailer, but they learned they need a new trailer before they can actually move in.
Lots of back and forth. Since Hurricane Ian hit, these North Fort Myers women have been left in a very tough spot. But tonight, FEMA is finally helping them get hooked up. ABC 7's Dave Elias gets you more on their fight to get answers.
Well, there are a lot of shallow wells here in North Fort Myers that look just like this, and many of those wells caved in during Hurricane Ian. We've been telling you about two North Fort Myers sisters who need running water in order to get into their FEMA trailer that's been sitting here for a month. Well, over the weekend, a drilling company showed up and they drilled this deep water well, and they're hoping now for it to get hooked up so they can get in.
That was a shallow well. And I think it was only like 60 feet deep, but we think it collapsed.
Shallow wells like this can be easily damaged. The pump and equipment set above the ground, and they're susceptible to storms. Paula Colos and her sister have been hauling water from their neighbors for 4 months now. The back of their home ripped off in the storm. FEMA gave them this trailer over a month ago. It took weeks to get electric. FEMA even threatening at one point to take their trailer, later admitting it was a mistake. Ian destroyed their well. Then, this weekend, someone who saw their story showed up to help.
Saturday, they showed up with their equipment, and the well is drilled, and now it just needs to be hooked up to the trailer. So we've got a deep well, and I just can't wait.
And like their sign reads, they're now waiting for tomorrow.
I keep thinking maybe tomorrow, tomorrow. But we're ready. We're so ready, and we're so thankful to the people that have cared so much.
Now, all of this shallow well equipment will have to be removed. It's no longer necessary. In fact, Paula says she may turn this into a fish pond. But her first priority is getting the keys to move into this FEMA trailer that has been sitting here for more than a month. In North Fort Myers, Dave Elias, ABC 7.
Let's get you more, hopefully some good news if you're waiting for temporary housing. Northwest Cape Coral is about to get a FEMA city set up in response to Hurricane Ian. The city tells ABC 7 that FEMA and the owners of an RV resort are opening up this FEMA site. It's at the corner of Burnt Store Road and Durden Parkway. We're told this site is approved for 105 trailers right now. We are still working to confirm when people can move in.
Today, former Florida Agriculture Commissioner Nikki Fried announced her candidacy for Florida Democratic Party chair. Fried most recently unsuccessfully ran as governor. Now, she claims she has nearly 2/3 of the votes needed to win. The election will be held on February 25th.
Dead fish are popping up on the coast of Southwest Florida, and now you may be feeling the tickle of red tide or some breathing problems. Take a look at the latest samples from FWC. On this map, you can see it popping up all along our coast, really. People at Englewood Beach say on Sunday you couldn't stand by the beach for 5 minutes without coughing. Today, our crews could still feel the impacts, and businesses tell us they can feel those impacts too.
As soon as you came to the porch area, you could smell the red tide, and it's kind of doesn't have really a smell. It just kind of gets into your throat and kind of makes it irritated and makes you cough.
According to the FWC, there are low to medium concentrations of red tide off the coast of Englewood Beach. Scientists will sample again on Wednesday.
Well, dinner served at 7, but would you eat it?
But you just got to know that, yes, this isn't necessarily FDA approved, but, you know, you can't get any fresher than right out of the tree like that either.
Next in tonight's cover story, we're getting you more on a tasty way to get rid of these scaly pests.
If you didn't have a chance to open the doors and the windows this afternoon, you'll have another opportunity tomorrow. It's going to stay comfortable as long as this ridge of high pressure sits over here in the Gulf of Mexico. But it is going to travel over here into the Atlantic. And if you hang around, I'm going to get you more on when we're going to warm up past 85 degrees. Your most accurate forecast is next on ABC 7 News at 7.
That not only are we taking them, you know, out of the environment and, you know, cleaning it up, but on top of that, we're actually using them.
Here on ABC 7, we love our cooking segments, but this one, a bit different than usual. They're called the chicken of the trees, but would you dare serve up iguana at your next neighborhood barbecue? In tonight's cover story, we're finding out.
In Cape Coral, an iguana hunting charter business showed us how one of Florida's most invasive reptiles can actually be a tasty snack. So we also had to ask you, our viewers, what do you think of eating invasive pests?
So some people said absolutely no. Others, like this person, no, but I'd eat me some gator. Okay, so we had some creative answers as well. I'm going to throw one on the smoker. Clearly, Garrett actually likes this. So we just really thought it was funny in general.
In tonight's cover story, ABC 7's Alex Howard is getting you more on if this really could be a form of population control.
You can just grab that. All right, iguana mamas, are we ready for this or what?
From a residential canal in Cape Coral, armed with air rifles in a boat not much bigger than a bathtub, the early morning hunt was on.
And the iguanas, whenever the sun comes out to warm up, they'll come out to the very edge to where they're just barely seen.
Sunning themselves from either the branches of overhanging mangroves or the edge of seawalls, within a few minutes we found them.
Not only are we taking them, you know, out of the environment and, you know, cleaning it up, but on top of that, we're actually using them, you know, in every way possible that we can think of.
As Cameron, our guide, explained, most canal-side property owners don't mind the air rifle hunting here, and it's easy to see the reason why.
They've got to pay 60 grand out of pocket to be able to put up a new seawall.
All that damage comes from iguana burrows eroding the bank.
Alex got him. And we got birds back then.
So every iguana in the boat is one less burrowing. And to Danny Post, a free meal as well, so long as it's prepared right.
You gotta bleed them out, make sure that blood comes out, because if you don't bleed them out, they naturally produce salmonella in their bloodstream. It's in their blood or feces.
And with a few in the bag, and a charcoal grill back on shore, he treated us to lunch.
Definitely one solution. I mean, the more people eating it, the less we're going to have the problem of our seawalls falling into the water.
Here we go. Tastes like chicken.
It's basically fajita meat wrapped up in a burrito, so it's easier to eat.
You can't buy iguana meat in stores because it's not FDA approved. But in this case, it's not much different than eating a fish you caught. And Danny never has a problem getting rid of the stuff.
They'll take the meat right off our hands, and they take it home, they cook it, they eat it, and they're always coming back for more.
Reporting in Cape Coral, Alex Howard, ABC 7.
Special menu item.
Special menu.
Alex enjoyed it. Megan, JP, I don't know if I could try that. You try an iguana?
No.
Definitely not.
Not even with sriracha.
All right, let's get you more tonight, the ABC 7 promise. Cute pet how about invasive pests? Green iguanas are not native to Florida. They're originally from Central and also South America. Iguanas, they're considered an invasive species because of their impacts to native wildlife. That's why it's legal to kill iguanas in the state of Florida. But state law requires that the killings must be done in a humane way.
And you're not even allowed to have iguanas as a pet anymore. In 2021, Florida lawmakers passed a law banning the ownership of pet iguanas. Anyone who had one as a pet before the 2021 cutoff had to get a permit and make sure their pets were marked with a tag.
Now, the ABC 7 forecast. Your most accurate forecast.
Temperatures are going to be dropping pretty quickly as we go into the evening because the air is dry. We've got a clear sky and the wind is, it's almost calm. Just a very gentle breeze out there this evening. You see on our tower camera, we've got a clear sky, and so we're not going to see any rain as we widen out and take a look at radar. 64 our temperature right now. That's down about 8 degrees from last hour. So we are dropping that temperature. We're going to get down into the low 50s in town tonight. And you see it's dry all across the area because of a ridge of high pressure. It's parked right now in the north central Gulf of Mexico. We're on the eastern side of that ridge, so the winds are coming down the peninsula out of the north. And that's going to continue through the night and during most of the day tomorrow. This is a quick area of high pressure, though, that's going to be moving across the peninsula and out into the Atlantic. And once that happens, then we're going to start to see temperatures come up just a little bit. Here's a view of JetBlue Park. We're at 62, the dew point 50. So this air temperature is likely going to drop now close to that 50-degree dew point as we get into the overnight. Wind out of the west for the most part right now at 6 miles an hour. So again, it's a gentle breeze out there. That breeze will calm as we go through the night down to about 1, 2, maybe 3 miles an hour. That's going to allow that air temperature to drop efficiently overnight. Here's our clear sky right now. What little sea breeze we had is over by Lake Okeechobee, and it's dry in all levels of the atmosphere. So we didn't see very much cloud cover at all today. Just 1 or 2 high, very high thin, those little feathery, kind of like horse feather clouds in the sky, those cirrus clouds. That's all we saw in the sky today. We're not even going to see that overnight. Temperatures falling back into the mid to upper 40s inland, near 50 in the urban corridor, and in the mid 50s out toward the Gulf of Mexico. So a little bit milder up against the water. As we go into your Tuesday, again, hardly a cloud in the sky right through 12 o'clock noon. Wind's going to start to turn around again as that high pressure scoots towards central and north Florida and out into the Atlantic. That's going to turn our wind to the east tomorrow and then more to the southeast as we get into Wednesday, and that's going to allow us to warm up. We should get to about 80 to 81 tomorrow, and as we get into late Tuesday, there's your sea breeze lining up right about State Road 29. There's just slightly more moisture in the atmosphere tomorrow than what we saw today, so we'll see just a few clouds right near that sea breeze boundary, but there's not going to be any rain. There's a very dry air mass on top of us right now, so even with the extra clouds, it's still going to be mostly sunny, and it's not going to be any sort of a day where we have rain showers in the forecast. You're not going to need the umbrella. 52 in Naples, 53 Marco Island. You go inland to Immokalee and Ave Maria to 46. Everglades City 51 overnight. 57 Sanibel, Captiva 59. 52 in Cape Coral, 51 in Fort Myers. Get to mid to upper 40s in East Lee County around Alva, Lehigh, and even Estero dropping to 49 overnight. 48 Port Charlotte, 49 in Punta Gorda. El Jabin 51. 57 there at Boca Grande, Englewood 49, and 44 our cool spot in Arcadia, 45 at Palmdale and LaBelle. A little bit warmer up against Lake Okeechobee, temperatures in the upper 40s there. We'll get to 81 tomorrow afternoon, wall-to-wall sunshine. We're going to stair-step up the moisture, the humidity in the atmosphere just a little bit day by day until our next cold front gets here on Friday. We showed that to you on the news at 6. Brings us a 20% chance for rain in the late afternoon and more so in the evening. Then it dries out for the weekend. It's going to be kind of gusty on Saturday, though. The Edison Festival of Light Parade Saturday evening. Wind should calm down a little bit by the evening time, but 78 on Saturday. It's going to be nice temperature-wise. That's your most accurate forecast from ABC 7.
Valentine's Day is tomorrow, but today women have another reason to celebrate. Next at 7, get more on how Galentine's Day got started and how you can celebrate.
ABC 7.
And right now it's time for your Bright Side block on your news at 7.
Every weeknight, we'd like to end our show with some good happening around the world.
So tomorrow is Valentine's Day, but did you know today is Galentine's Day with a G? Galentine's is a day dedicated to women and for women, a time to celebrate female relationships, whether that's your sisters, aunts, moms, grandmas. Simply put, it's a day to honor the most important gals in your life. The idea was sparked by the TV show Parks and Recreation, which had an episode featuring a Galentine's party. Since then, guys, the idea's taken off. And I've got something else, you know, maybe we can't all celebrate Galentine's Day, but what about Palentine's, you know? You're my pals.
For your pals.
My pals.
You got Friendsgiving, so why not?
Festivus for the rest of us.
Another reason to eat chocolate, essentially, is what it is.
Oh, yeah. You can celebrate any kind of love.